Testing now, good.
Henry, is this good here? So if she's speaking there, you've still got kind of eye line?
me to make sure that you're getting some signal there. So you should be getting some signal there. Yep. Yep. Cool. It's easy. I can if they go this side here or the other side there, then it's easy. I can just bring it across. What's that?
Questions going to be asked here? No questions here. That's what I think
So that's this microphone here. Test, 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 test. Can you hear me? Test, test. Test 1, 2. Test, 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 test. Hello. Test.
tēnā koutou katoa, kia koe e te Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern, tēnā koe. Kia koutou katoa, tēnā koutou. Kei manatu mō te taiao o e mahi ana, ko James Walker toku ingoa, no reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Good morning, everyone. My name's James, and I'm from the Ministry for the Environment. I'm going to be your MC, and I'm going to guide you through this morning as we unravel this mysterious announcement. An especially warm welcome to the Prime Minister, Jacinda Ardern, the Associate Minister for the Environment, Eugenie Sage, Minister James Shaw, Minister of Climate Change and co-leader of the Green Party, Mayor Justin Lester, and Mayor Dave Cull, who's here on behalf of Local Government New Zealand, and I also saw former Green MP Denise Roche in the room. I feel like I just about got around a few of you by name then, but I just want to welcome the rest of you. Welcome here. Welcome to the Spruce Goose. I've never been to the Spruce Goose before. I'm from Auckland, so this may be part of the reason. But when I heard we'd chosen the venue, the Spruce Goose, I assumed that this had been named after a particularly sprightly and vivacious species of goose. I also assumed my team had chosen the venue for this ode to nature. None of that turns out to be true. The Spruce Goose is a failed type of aircraft, and my team chose this room because of its availability and the budget. So if you're expecting geese, I'm so sorry, there are none, but I feel your pain. I do appreciate that I lured you all here with a coy email promising an announcement and then inviting you to clean up that beach. It's really surprising so many of you showed up. But I want to give you a little bit more explanation about why you're here. This morning, I want you to take a look at your neighbour in a kind way, because this morning you might be standing next to someone who works for the warehouse, a school child from room 2 or room 1 from Cardinal McCaffrey Primary School, an environmentalist, a television journalist, or a member of parliament. With very different Fridays ahead, whether in a classroom, a boardroom, or a beehive, you are all here because you have a connection with our environment and you all know the role we have to play together to live within it and not beyond it. And that is all I can reveal, because the Prime Minister is going to do the rest, which is sort of a shame because I was starting to get warmed up, but okay. But before our Prime Minister tells us what you're interested in hearing, I'll tell you about something that you're not: housekeeping. The bathrooms are downstairs. In the event of a fire or emergency, you can head out that balcony and down the stairs onto the lawn, or down these stairs up which you came. If there is an emergency and you forget all this, just look for me. I'll be acting like a spruce goose and getting on out of here. So now I would like to invite the Prime Minister, Jacinda Ardern, to the platform, and she's going to introduce you to some very special guests this morning. Thank you, Prime Minister.
Thank you. Kia ora koutou katoa, ni mihi nui, kia koutou, and welcome. And thank you, James, for that introduction. It feels very fitting to me that yesterday we were sitting down and doing a little preparatory work for today, and the first occasion which actually I met James was through what I've now dubbed his life's work, which is plastics. And it was in the private sector that I first met James, and he's been working on this issue for some time. So it's a real treat for this to come full circle for you, James, and to have you emceeing our event today. There are a lot of people in this room I want to acknowledge, but I'm going to do it over the course of my few words and statements. I won't be the only one at this platform today, and rightly so, but I want to give one acknowledgement up front, and that is to the Associate Minister for the Environment, Eugenie Sage, who has done a huge amount of work on this issue and on the announcement that we're making today. And I also acknowledge that as a minister from the Green Party, and I see Denise Roche here today as well, and wonderful to have you here, has really driven the agenda for the government around waste minimisation. And right from the beginning, from the time that we formed government, sitting around the coalition table, this was one of the things that we said that was pushed for in the confidence and supply agreement, because it meant so much. And it means a lot to this government, and I thank you for continuing to drive that agenda and the work that you continue to do. Look, there are so many big issues in politics. And during the last election campaign, you would have seen some of those really come to the fore. You know, issues like housing, like health, like mental health, like education, like investment in infrastructure, including our transport network, our schools, our hospitals, things that are important to voters in New Zealand, but that are important to the success of our country. And those are the things that we tend to debate in politics, and rightly so. But then there are things in everyday life that might seem smaller in the large scale of things, but actually have a really big impact. And I would say that one of those things is plastic bags. Now, even issues like that, we in government have a role to play in the way that we manage those kinds of issues, and in fact the way that we respond to the public when they call upon us to address what might seem like a small issue. And I say seem like a small issue. I've learned a big lesson since coming into politics and since being in this job, and one is that I underestimated the impact of plastics on our environment. I also underestimated the strength of feeling amongst everyday New Zealanders around this issue. And one of the groups of people that helped me realise how much people care about plastics in the environment were children. I can hand on heart tell you that the biggest issue I get letters on from the public are about plastics, and it comes from children. I literally get hundreds and hundreds. And that really stood out to me from the time I took on this job. And it stood out to me because I make a real effort to reply to each of those letters from children. And some of the children, I'm going to ask them to come and join me now. Some of the children who wrote to me are here today. And I want to thank the students from Cardinal McCaffrey School, Geraldine, Maddie and Ryan for joining me today. Thank you guys for coming along and being part of this announcement. And we wanted you to be here because you represent a voice that has been so strong on this issue, and because you wrote such great letters. So to kick off what we're going to talk about today, I'm going to start where I started, and it was with letters from these young people. So who's going to go first? So you drew the straw. Okay. So you're going to kick off, and then we'll hear each of your letters. And when did you write this one to me?
Friday, 27th October.
That's right, 27th of October. So off you go.
Dear Jacinda Ardern, we all love the beach. It's New Zealand. We are basically a beach. But we are destroying our beach. We are littering on our beach. It's become a dump. All sorts of fish are dying. So I'm writing this because we did a beach cleanup at Petone Beach, and it was terrible. I couldn't believe Petone Beach looked like that. At stores, people use plastic bags, but they are single-use plastic, which gets thrown away, and turtles will eat them because they think it's jellyfish. So I'm writing this because we did a beach cleanup at Petone Beach, and it was terrible. We'll eat them because they think it's jellyfish. So I think you should ban plastic bags from stores, and instead of plastic bags, put tote bags. Did you know that when fish eat single-use plastic and we catch the fish and eat it, they're eating plastic, which can't be good. We picked up an estimated 400 litres of rubbish, which is crazy, and there's more. Another thing we could do is change the design of stormwater drains. The drain holes are quite big, so my idea is you make them smaller so plastic can't get through, but long, so the purpose of it is still working. The water that we drink out of single-use plastic bottles is just tap water. So remember not to bother buying straws in single-use plastic or bring tote bags to the store, but try do both. I guess you know about birds that die by eating plastic, so try to stop this as well. Single-use plastic has no real use that helps the society. One more thing to reduce using paper, try to use one font size lower, for example, 18 to 17. Best of wishes, yours sincerely, Brianna Leary.
Dear Right Honourable Jacinda Ardern, I am writing about the litter problem that we have in New Zealand. At our school, we are learning about what rubbish does to our community, and we found out that nurdles are little tiny pieces of broken down plastic. We also found out that millions and millions of pieces of plastic are being washed up on deserted islands every year. When we went to do a beach cleanup in Petone, we found lots of strange things, including a plastic bag full of live fish, pieces of fabric and rope. We also found loads and loads of plastic. So I think we should decrease the amount of plastic used in New Zealand by not using single-use plastic bags and bottles. After we picked up all the rubbish, Oliver from Sustainable Coastlines told us a bit about what it means to the community for us to pick up the amount of rubbish that we picked up. After hearing a bit about that, we had a group photo, then we went back to school. Yours sincerely, Maddie Honus.
Dear Right Honourable Jacinda Ardern, Talofa lava, my name is Judy and my whole school went on a trip to Petone Beach to pick up rubbish. I would like to tell you what I saw and what I found at the beach. As soon as we started, we were on a search for plastic, and as soon as we looked closely down through the sand, we found lots and lots of plastic. I was shocked with how much each group got. It was very sad to see how much plastic we found. So I want to say that in New Zealand, we at least need to think more about the plastic that we can put in the rubbish bin and which plastic we should recycle. I think this is important because it's not fair for the animals that live in the sea. We are the ones who are letting plastic go into places where it could get into animal stomachs. If they keep eating plastic and other things that are not edible, they could sadly die, and it's not fair on them. After everyone in every group finished, we all took a picture together as a whole school, being proud of what we did that day. We all put our hands up and waved. It was a great achievement for all of us. Yours sincerely, Jerry Matafiosalia.
Thank you, Geraldine and Maddie. Those were just fantastic letters and represent some of the hundreds that we've had. And so thank you for coming and sharing your letters with us all today. And you're just some of the many voices who have been a part of this issue. And this now is the time that I want to acknowledge how widespread the action and activity on this issue has been. David Cull and Justin Lester, David representing local government New Zealand, and Justin Lester here as the Mayor of Wellington. There has been a real push from local government and individual level to address this issue, and I want to acknowledge you and ex-councillor and now MP Paul Eagle, who covers this area too. The environmental NGOs, the likes of Greenpeace, Forest and Bird, both who are here today. And also I do want to make special acknowledgement of Sustainable Coastlines, who have been plugging away not only on their advocacy, but literally out cleaning up beaches day in, day out, and alongside the next generation. Camden, thank you for the work that you and Sam do and the leadership that you've shown in New Zealand and internationally. I also want to pay tribute to New Zealand business. I have with me here today the Retailers Association and also representatives from Progressives who have had in the past purchasing, I understand, and the distribution of up to 350 million single-use plastic bags. But they have, off their own bat, said things have to change. And a number of New Zealand businesses have said the same and taken action. And I see the warehouse here represented as well. And I also want to acknowledge the likes of Daryl Evans from Mangere Budget Advisory Services, who work with some of our low-income families across New Zealand and managing their budgets and assisting those families. And I've certainly on an occasion had conversations with him about the impact of these issues on those families. And I know he'll have more to say later, but again is supportive of what we're doing here today. Each of these groups have recognised a problem and have acted. So what is the problem? Ultimately, it's plastics in our environment. Now, New Zealand's marine exclusive economic zone is one of the largest in the world. It contains some of the world's most precious marine environments and species, such as seabirds, found nowhere else in the world. We have a guardianship role to play and a duty to protect. But a recent survey of New Zealand coastal environments found microplastics in 8 out of 10 samples. Plastic bags are a part of this problem. It is estimated that up to 5 trillion plastic bags are used worldwide every year. If put one after the other, these plastic bags could be wrapped around the world 7 times every hour. Here in New Zealand, one of the top 5 items found in coastal litter is single-use plastic bags. In fact, we spend an estimated $15 million purchasing single-use plastic bags in New Zealand alone. The government wants to support the great voluntary steps being taken now by some big retailers, but bring all retailers, large and small, together on this in a way that is fair and that is effective. It is time to listen, and it is time to act collectively. That's why I'm pleased to announce that today the government is phasing out single-use plastic shopping bags over the next year. This has already been done successfully in countries like France, Belgium, Italy, China, and 6 out of 8 states in Australia, even big cities in America like Seattle, LA, San Francisco. The time is right for New Zealand to make the change too. Now, we won't rush this. Now we want to hear from New Zealanders and their views, including which type of bags should go and how quickly we should move in this phasing out. We also want to hear from industry, environmental groups, and other interested groups. This first 5-week consultation is one of the first steps towards the government's longer-term plan to be smarter in how we manage waste, and that is the work that the Minister is undertaking. But today's decision underlines the government's determination to face up to our environmental challenges, whether it's climate change, whether it's freshwater issues, or whether it's waste. Ultimately, we are a nation that values and loves our environment. And now it's time for government to start acting like it too. So my final thanks again go to Geraldine, to Rianne, to Maddie. Thank you for being one of many voices who has raised this issue with us. Thank you to business for leading the charge. Now it's for us to join with you, even up the playing field, and make sure that collectively we protect our environment and make New Zealand a place that all New Zealanders can be proud of. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister. And thank you again to our friends from Cardinal McCaffrey Primary School, Rooms 1 and Room 2. You were outstanding. There were a few wet eyes back here when you were speaking, and you were pretty brave with all these cameras and microphones. It must have been kind of nerve-wracking, so really good job. Now I'd like to invite the Associate Minister for the Environment, Eugenie Sage, to address you. Minister Sage, she has responsibility for waste issues in New Zealand, and now I'd like to welcome her to the podium. Thank you, Minister.
Ngā mihi o te ata, kei ngā mana koutou kua huihui mai e te rā nei. Tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. Can I acknowledge you, Prime Minister? James Shaw, Green co-leader, LGNZ President Dave Cull, Wellington Mayor Justin Lester, representatives of major retailers like Countdown, Foodstuffs, environmental organisations, WWF, Greenpeace, Sustainable Coastlines, all the youth leaders, students and everyone who's here today. The Green Party is in government for days like this. I'm delighted that 10 years after former Green MP Nandor Tanchos's Members' Bill was picked up by the Helen Clark Labour government, that we are here today in government with Labour and New Zealand First and able to use this law, the Waste Minimisation Act, to phase out single-use plastic bags. The Waste Minimisation Act was groundbreaking when it was introduced in 2008, and today's announcement is part of this government's plan to use that act to its full potential to reduce the waste we create, to reduce what we send to landfill, and to shift the economy to being a more productive, sustainable and inclusive economy. So can I, like the Prime Minister, acknowledge some of the people who helped get us here. Firstly, Denise Roche, former Green MP, for all of the campaigning she did alongside councils, schools, youth leaders and others seeking to phase out single-use plastic bags. And there have been a heap of effort across the community, giving us in government the strong support for this action. In government, we have listened. So all of those voices from communities and businesses have been brought together in this announcement today. Can I also acknowledge the leadership of James, Sean, and the very small but energetic policy team in the Ministry for the Environment, who've done the analysis, looked at what overseas countries were doing, worked out the best options to get to phase out. So this is a really important step today, and there's going to be more to come in the waste space, because sadly here in Aotearoa, New Zealand, we are one of the highest producers per capita of household waste in the developed world, of over 734 kilograms annually. So we've got a lot of scope to do better. We use millions of single-use plastic bags each year in New Zealand. We tend to use them once or twice. They've got an average life of 10 minutes. But when we throw them away to this mythical place called away, they can last for decades in nature. And as Maddie and Rhiannon and Geraldine have said, major impacts on marine life, fish life, seabirds and our oceans. So worldwide, it's estimated that we use about 5 trillion plastic bags every year. That means that these plastic bags could be wrapped around our planet 7 times every hour. So we've heard loud and clear that Kiwis want action. Earlier this year, I had a petition at Parliament signed by 65,000 people calling for action on plastic bags and for them to be banned. So we need to turn the tide on plastic pollution on our beaches, in our streets and in our ocean. And we've chosen to do a mandatory phase out of single-use bags rather than other options such as a levy, because a mandatory phase out is the quickest, the most effective, and it doesn't need a law change, as a levy would have. So today's announcement supports the real leadership that retailers have shown. I was in Countdown's store on Lambton Quay last night. There are big signs there saying that Countdown's phasing out at over 42 stores on Monday. So congratulations to Countdown for doing that. We've seen New World, Mitre 10 with their commitments, companies like Bunnings as well, and the Warehouse is here today because they've committed to removing plastic single-use bags at all of their checkouts of all thicknesses. So these retailers have moved, and we want in government to ensure that the retail industry does it collectively. So that's why government's taking action and showing the leadership as well. But it's not just initiatives like this. We've also got other companies which have signed up to the New Zealand Plastic Packaging Declaration, committing to using 100% reusable, recyclable or compostable packaging in their New Zealand operations by 2025 or earlier. And through the Waste Minimisation Fund, we've been able to fund progressive businesses like Flight Plastics to take single-use beverage containers out of the waste stream, recycle those into other plastic products which can be repeatedly recycled. So there have been many countries and states and big cities like Mexico City around the world who have moved to end the use of single-use plastic bags. Given our reputation for adaptability, the strong public call for action, I'm confident that we can make this change together and we can be proud of it. So the intention is that they're phased out by July next year. We're consulting the public on this timeline. Submissions are open until September the 15th, so I would encourage you to go online to make a submission at mfe.gov.nz. But thank you for coming today, and congratulations everybody who's contributed to this decision by government to move to a mandatory phase-out. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa.
Thank you very much, Minister Sage. We've got 3 more quick speeches for you before we round up this morning, and we've got Sustainable Coastlines, Retail New Zealand and Countdown Supermarkets. First of all, I'd like to invite the CEO of Sustainable Coastlines, Camden Howard, to the podium. Thank you.
Tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. Ko ao te moana, ko te moana ko ao. I am the ocean is me. As New Zealanders, we love the beach. We're surrounded by it. We have 15,000 kilometres of beautiful coastlines, one of the longest coastlines in the world, and we love this place. Today is a victory for the people of New Zealand and the places that we love. This is huge. I want to thank Jacinda, our Prime Minister. I want to thank Eugenie Sage, and I want to thank, above all, the school students here who presented their beautiful letters. You guys are an inspiration, and you're the ones that will have to deal with the problems that we're seeing on our beaches today. You know, this is because of this overwhelming public support. There is groundswell behind the love for our oceans, and we can see that coming through in the school students of today, and it's inspiring. So it's important that we know that as individuals, no matter how old or young we are, our voices are being heard. If we stand up for our values, our leaders are listening, and that for us is a huge victory. Plastic bags are a bit of a poster child for us in terms of the environmental issues we're seeing. They're one of the worst offenders that we find on our beaches. Around 7% of what we find on our coastlines in New Zealand are plastic bags, and they have some absolutely horrific effects in the marine environment. I'm not sure if anyone here has heard this stat, but it's to me one of the saddest things I've heard. 1/3 of the turtles that visit our waters and die in Auckland's Hauraki Gulf have been found with plastic bags in their stomachs. What's even sadder to me is kids stand up here and talk about this like it's common knowledge that these things are just happening out there. But we can do a huge amount to save this issue. And I think understanding that our kaimoana is being polluted by plastic bags, that our beaches and our sea creatures are suffering, is the first stage, that emotional connection we need. So with today's announcement and hundreds of millions of bags gone from our environments, from our landfills, from our beaches, from our waterways, what are we going to do? And that, for me, is the challenge and the opportunity. We have cardboard boxes, we have alternatives like reusable bags. We have the ability to say no when we're at the checkout. But this is an opportunity for innovation. Kiwis are creative. We're good at this stuff. And over the next few weeks and months, Kiwis are going to hear conversations about thicknesses of bags, about microns. We're going to hear about disposable alternatives, biodegradables, oxydegradables. But we're better than that, Kiwis, aren't we? We're more creative. We're more innovative. We have solutions out there. There's beautiful social enterprises out there teaching rangatahi how to weave again from harakeke, creating jobs, and at the same time creating bags that we can use at the supermarket. We have borrow and return schemes like boomerang bags and lots of other social enterprises out there who are engaging communities through sewing bees, who are using upcycled fabrics and waste products to turn into the things that we can use to carry our groceries. We are creative, we are innovative, and that is the challenge. How do we turn this environmental win today into a win for our people, a win for our culture, and a win for our economy? Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa.
Thank you, Camden. As we've heard this morning, that retailers around New Zealand have been taking voluntary action on bags. In the room today, we have representatives from the Warehouse, Foodstuffs, we've got a representative from Countdown and Z Energy. And when you add those all up, retailers are already committing to phase out 700 million odd bags in New Zealand already. So we thought it was important to hear from the retailers themselves. So representing Retail New Zealand, I'd like to welcome Greg Harford.
Thank you very much, James. Prime Minister, Minister Sage, ladies and gentlemen, the Prime Minister is absolutely right. There's been a huge amount of debate in the community around questions about plastic bags. And Retail NZ has been calling for leadership on questions around bags for some time, and we're absolutely delighted that the government is showing that leadership with today's announcement. Our members are both small and large retailers around the country who collectively account for about 2/3 of total retail turnover. We've discussed questions about single-use plastic carrier bags with our members, and it's an issue which has generated huge, absolutely huge feedback from them, especially from small to medium enterprises. You may not know, but there are about 16,500 single-store family-owned businesses in New Zealand. That's including about 4,000 dairies and other stores that sit at the heart of communities. And plastic bags are a big issue for those small to medium enterprises. We know that retailers typically want to do the right thing by the environment and for their customers. And it's true to say that customer views about plastic bags have changed very rapidly over recent times. While in the past there was often resistance to the idea of taking your own reusable bag when you go shopping, consumers are now more willing to do so. Kiwi retailers and customers have a huge opportunity to help make a difference to the environment over the coming years. As customer sentiment on the question of single-use carrier bags has moved over recent times, a sizable number of retail businesses, both large and small, have taken their own steps to reduce or eliminate entirely their use of single-use plastic carrier bags. We've seen big grocery stores, department stores, hardware stores move, but also right down into small business land. We've seen small Indian spice shops in Dunedin get rid of bags and institute alternatives. We've seen dairies at Piha and beach communities take action. We've seen shoe stores in Heartland, New Zealand, all try their best to reduce and eliminate plastic from their businesses. Those retailers should be applauded for their work in this space, and today's announcements will, most importantly, lock in the steps that those retailers have already taken, and it will give all retailers, large and small, certainty about the rules moving forward. Most importantly, the announcement will ensure that there's a level playing field for all New Zealand businesses into the future. I do want to congratulate the government for taking a stand on this issue. Retail RNZ is really pleased that there's a consultation process underway. There's still a few detailed questions to be ironed out, but we are encouraging retailers to have their say on this issue through the consultation process. And again, we welcome the commitment and leadership shown by the government today. Thank you.
And finally, we have a representative from one of our supermarket chains here in New Zealand, Kerry Hannafin, General Manager, Corporate Affairs, Countdown Supermarkets. Kerry.
Tēnā koe he rangatira, tēnā koe Minister Sage, Minister Shaw, Mayors, Paul, my colleagues, and I suppose not colleagues, but my associates at Forest and Bird, Cam, Emily and Steve from Greenpeace. I acknowledge the mahi that you have put into this for years. Yourself as well, Minister. This is an enormously significant achievement, and I've been practicing my few notes over the last 24 hours, and I keep crying because it is not just a professional interest of mine at Countdown, because I lead this work, but something I'm deeply, personally so proud to be doing and so pleased to see today. So congratulations. It's just awesome. Well done. So Countdown, and I'll just call out James, he started this off at Countdown and he's handed me a hospital pass perhaps. Today's made it a lot easier, to be honest. But you started off this process for us, and congratulations to you on many aspects. Well done. So Countdown has always supported a government ban on bag, not a levy but a ban, and I guess initially in 2016 when we started to look at it, it was because we wanted an even playing field. But actually that kind of commercial sentiment we quickly kind of got over ourselves and realised, I'm so sorry, TV, NZB, got over ourselves and realised actually this is not about commercial stuff, this is just the right thing to do for us today, for you guys, for my children, for the new babies in the room, but also for those to come. So this is just an enormously, it's a great decision, well done. And I've got, it's really a privilege to be able to give you a few observations from our business who are already sort of down the road of going plastic bag free. And I think the first point I'd like to make is that we've got to make sustainability accessible and affordable to everyone in New Zealand, otherwise it's not going to work. And that's the kind of lesson that we've learnt as a business, and I'm happy to share all the learnings we've got with you because we really want to make it count and count for us all. So that's my sort of major call out. Since May, we've had 10 stores pilot going plastic bag free, and in those 12 weeks, we've stopped 5 million bags going into the environment. 5 million bags. So I'm both embarrassed to say that we've been doing that for so long, but proud to say that we can make a difference. On Monday, we've got another 52 stores going, so that's a third of our network, and not just at the checkout, but online. And from Monday, we'll be saving about 3 million bags a week in those stores every week, so we can make change at scale. I know some of the criticism I've had, and I've had lots of it, is that it's just a small thing, plastic bags, what's it all about? But if you think about that, each one of our stores gives out 6,000 bags a day, and we're going to stop that. That's a good thing, right? It's the right thing to do. So the pilot stores, the guinea pigs, I just want to call out to them and to the beautiful customers that we've had who have been so positive and patient as we've tried to get it right. I'm an emotional person, as you can probably hear me welling up, but I've spent a lot of time stalking those stores and in the car park, in my car, looking at people opening their boots. And the relief when they take their bags out, and the pride, like little tears wiping it away. And it's very embarrassing, I guess, as a grocer to cry at people bringing their own bags into the store. But I do, and I'm so aware, I'm sure some of you are, about the kind of awfulness happening in Australia with the bag backlash. So it's a relief that New Zealanders have got this. We've got this, guys. 60% of our customers are bringing their own bags in, and I'm very proud of how it's going. So my message to the Prime Minister, to the Minister, is that there's an absolute appetite for this. Kiwis want it. It's the right thing to do, and we're halfway there. I just want to quickly call out our team. We're nearly 19,000 staff, and we're mums and we're dads and we're brothers and we're sisters and we're members of communities across New Zealand, and they're so proud of this, and that makes me so proud as a leader that our team are so happy. And groceries, it's magic. How stuff gets from the farm to the store is a mystery, but we ask a lot of our teams. It's not amazing, it's not easy work, and they have gone beyond and above to deliver this for us, because change is really hard, and we've all got a really big role to help Kiwis change habits, and it's hard, and there's a lot of, I guess, unkind comments at the checkout about the change, and it's just pure passion and a recognition that they're doing this for their families and for their communities that has got this across the line in our stores. So, it's great for staff as well. And then just finally about the future. I know more about plastic than I care to have ever thought I would know, and I know nothing. It's just bamboozling, and I feel kind of a little bit relieved that when the PCE's report came out last week, it confirmed how difficult this area is, right? And back in the day, we used to get mail and letters about, the price of chocolate, and what about the bread, and, what are we going to do about the size of, whatever. Things have gone off the shelf, and now every day, like you guys have done to the Prime Minister, we get letters about plastic. What are we going to do? And we're the conduit of plastic, right? We're the poster child of plastic. And we are absolutely determined to do more. Because not only is the proliferation of plastic unsustainable, the pollution is not what we're about as a country. And so the stronger the government signals its intention to move in this space, the easier it is for us to work across our supply chain to do better. And as you said, Kim, to do better. And recycling's not enough, guys. We're better than recycling. It can't be our good enough. So the more we see the government move in the space, the easier it is going to be to get the right people together, to collaborate, to be smart, to innovate, to be leaders in this space, because we have to do more. We've got, I'm the first to admit my business has got a lot to do, but we're absolutely passionate to do more and to work with you all. This is not about money or business. This is about actually looking after the one thing that we all have in common as Kiwis, no matter where we come from, the one thing we all love is our land. And so my sincere congratulations again. I'm just so delighted. Thank you.
Thank you, Kerry. I think we can... Oh, we're so sorry, News Talk ZB. Like, this is not personal. Like, we like you all the same.
Mike was a bit rough this morning, so...
There you have it. Thank you, Kerry. I think you can see there's a lot of passion in retail in New Zealand about this issue. This brings us to the end of our formalities this morning. What's going to happen next is there's going to be a stand-up for the retailers and the Prime Minister and the ministers with the media, and then in about 20 minutes' time, we will regroup for what you're all looking forward to, cleaning up that beach. I'm looking out the window a bit nervous because it looks kind of spotless, but I'm sure we'll find something. So thank you all very, very much for coming, for your shared passion for environmental issues. Have a great day. Ngā mihi, kia ora. Cheers.
I meant to mention this.
Good morning.